This is Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski.
It's week one as we're recording this in the Arizona courtroom and the trial of Lori Vallow-Daybell. Yes, that Lori Vallow. Back, this time playing the dual role of the defendant and her own attorney. And it's starting to get interesting. Think of it like the courtroom version of trying to cut your own hair before a job interview. She's facing charges for conspiring to murder her fourth husband, Charles Vallow, a case full of dark spiritual talk, text filings, bullet trajectories, and courtroom cross-examinations that are... Yeah, they're there. Joining us is a defense attorney and former prosecutor Eric Faddis to help us make sense of the strategy, the substance, and whether Lori's DIY defense is anything more than a slow-motion legal train wreck. Eric, I'm just going to toss it to you right there. Is this just a slow-motion legal train wreck that we've been observing the last several days here in the courtroom?
Well, if I were there, I'd say get off the tracks because, there's a devastating event that I think is likely to occur. It has been interesting so far. There have been some extraordinary moments with Lori Vallow-Daybell representing herself, and there is still a good amount of this trial to go.
There is a lot of this trial left to go. We're still listening to the prosecution as they're bringing their case. Are you surprised how detailed the prosecution has been so far? I mean, I know nothing's a slam dunk, but it feels like one side is really bringing it pretty good. And then you got Lori on the other side. I mean, you don't want to just assume the other side's going to fail, but I mean, it's turning out to be an interesting trial so far.
Yeah, I mean, the prosecution has to cross their T's and dot their I's. That it's their burden, that they're the ones who have to prove the case. So they're kind of coming with it. And I think one thing that they're doing, whether consciously or not, is sort of contrasting their approach, which seems professional and polished and compelling so far, with Lori Vallow-Daybell's approach, which is kind of anything but that, in part because she's not an attorney.
How do you think she's doing so far? We're going to look at a clip here in a moment, but she did her opening arguments, and I was kind of surprised by the opening statements from Lori. Honestly, the bar was pretty low, but I felt like she kind of met the bar there in that part anyway. What's been your reaction?
She has surely done her homework on the case. She's had a lot of time to look at it because she's just in custody, nothing else going on. So it does seem like she has a relatively decent grasp on the nature of the case against her, on the witnesses and what they might say and sort of the thrust of their testimony. And she has so far, been reasonably competent, has asked questions that seem pertinent to the issues the jury has to decide. So on those levels, I think she has done better than expected. But there have been some places where she has faltered as well.
Let's talk about that for a second, because I'm still trying to wrap my mind around any questions that she's asked the jury that are pertinent to anything, because so much of it just seems like, where are you going with this? I mean, there's been the arguments. There's a lot about the CPR. When was it administered? Was it administered? All of that with Charles. Tell me what that's all about. I mean, I'm not quite understanding what the point is all of this, or how this has anything to do with her being tied to the conspiracy of killing Charles, when we're talking about CPR and if it was administered or not for a man that clearly CPR would not have saved anything.
I mean, that's what the witness said, too, in response to those questions, that, hey, look, he appeared clearly deceased. And so it wouldn't make any sense to engage in CPR measures. Perhaps Lori is trying to touch on some kind of causation argument that Charles Vallow could have been saved. But that doesn't negate the allegation that she was involved in a conspiracy to kill him.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of confused by. 'Cause it's like, well, even if he was saved, you were still... Anyway, let's take a look. This is, I think, I would say the first moments thus far where I feel like she's kind of gone off the rails a bit. And this is when she's questioning a witness on cross. This is someone who went on a date with Charles Vallow right before he was murdered. And Lori just can't seem to resist to find out, what were they talking about that night? Were they talking about me? What were you talking about? Was it me? Was it me? What were you talking about with me? Let's take a look.
So let me understand. You were dating some different men on this website, right? From the websites.
Sure.
Would you say it was common for men to be talking so much about their supposed ex-wives during their conversations with a potential?
It's actually very common.
Really?
Really.
Interesting.
And again, Your Honor, I'm going to object to the defendant making comments after her questions. And
I'm
move
sorry,
to
Your
strike.
Honor. I won't do that again.
All right, please stop.
I'll just
now.
ask the questions.
Thank you.
So there were some text messages between you and my husband after the dinner on July 10th. Is that correct?
Correct.
What time would those text messages have occurred?
After dinner,
What time?
10:45-ish.
10:45 to what?
I'm not certain, ma'am. After dinner.
10:45 to midnight? Maybe?
I just told you I don't know. Maybe.
What did you discuss in those text messages?
And I'm going to object to relevance again. If there's a specific area.
Sustained.
You testified a minute ago that Charles told you a lot of things about his wife. You didn't say ex-wife, but you said wife. Is that correct?
Okay. Sure.
What were a lot of things?
The things that I've testified to.
Can you be more specific?
Am I allowed to do a narrative then?
Let's go on sidebar.
So that was rather interesting. The narrative that Lori is very focused on right here is what was being said about me. Does this have anything to do with the case, or is Lori letting her narcissism take over?
It seems like a pretty self-centric approach in a way that doesn't necessarily apply to the case. It more so seems like, a former partner who wants the dirt on what her spouse was saying to a woman on whom with whom she was on a date. He was on a date. And so, does it go to whether she committed a conspiracy to kill him? No, not really. It kind of seems like she's digging for details that might be personally satisfying to her, but completely irrelevant to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting here. Let's take a look at another piece of her testimony just the other day.
Like I said, I don't ask the details about what someone does for work when I'm trying to get to know someone.
But you knew that he sold life insurance. You stated that.
I believe that I had a vague understanding that he did something with insurance.
And then he brought that up again at dinner.
No, we didn't talk about his work at dinner.
I thought you said you did talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you did talk about that he changed the life insurance policy at dinner.
Well, you were asking me if we talked about that he sold insurance, which that didn't happen. But yes, he did tell me that he changed the beneficiary of his life insurance policy at dinner.
Did he tell you how much his life insurance policy was for?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
$1 million.
Did he tell you how much my life insurance policy was for?
I do not recall.
You don't recall?
We didn't talk about you very much in that vein.
When did you talk to him about me very much then? If it wasn't at dinner, was it in your text messages?
We were talking about what he was going through in the process of separating from you, not about what your life insurance policy was worth. And we talked about you on the phone, and when I say you, meaning what he was doing as he was going through this separation.
Relevancy?
Yeah, and I think the prosecution, you saw a relevance objection earlier, but part of it is just kind of letting her go and sort of, indulging her in this meandering approach that appears kind of self-absorbed. And I got to imagine the impression the jury is getting from this line of questioning isn't favorable to her.
I mean, what do you think is going through a jury's mind right now? I mean, she's already off. You can already, it's normal person or healthy mind would go, there's something weird about her, even if you know nothing about the case. And then you get to this. I mean, what the hell do you think they're thinking at this point? Is it just like, all right, she's guilty, she's nuts, or what? Are they throwing in the towel?
I'm not sure that we've gotten there just yet, but
Yeah.
certainly some confusion and certainly some raised eyebrows. I think Lori's trying to establish, hey, this life insurance policy was actually standard. Charles Vallow sold them. It wasn't my motivation to kill him.
Oh, is that what she's trying to do?
I'm wondering if that is the direction she might be trying to go, but it's not landing. She's not able to like piece things together, and so the jury, I'm sure, is horribly confused by this.
That's what's so confusing about when narcissistic type people speak, because in their mind it's going one way, and in the rest of the world receiving it, it's like, what are you getting at? But to them, it's just clear as day, but they don't have any concept of others. It's that empathetic thing.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.